but I knew I was going to achieve my dream. I was going for a goal. I was going for a reason. So, it was hard going away, but you got to go. My father said, go, you got to go. You got to go. And because before I left, he couldn't get off work. So I had to go on the way out to the airport, stop at his work. It was general fireproofing on the north side. And they let him come say goodbye. And I'm holding on to him. And he's, Ray, you got to go. You got to go. And I'm crying. And he's crying. Anyhow. But you go knowing you're going for a reason. You're going to achieve a dream, a goal in mind, a goal that's been for you, your dream since you're a kid. So you can't, and I tell anybody, listen, man, you can't sit at home and talk it. You got to walk it. You got to make it happen. Dreams, I always tell people, everything starts with a dream. But dreams without action are dead. Meaning, you got to take the initiative. You can't sit at home and say, I want to be an actor. Okay, what are you doing? Are you going to acting school? Are you going to, taking a class in theater in college, whatever? You know what I mean? You can't. Same thing when kids say, I want to be a professional baseball player. You got to go play Little League. You got to play baseball. So it's the same thing with anything. You got to do it. So, I always tell people, it's called, you've heard of show and tell, right? Right? Mm-hmm. I'm a firm believer in show and tell. Show, don't tell.
Right.
Show, don't tell. And that's the new version. As you get older, you show and tell when you're a kid, there's show and tell when you get older too. Show, don't tell. Too many people like to tell you about what they're gonna do, but they don't show you what they're gonna do.
I like that. I'm gonna remember that one. Appreciate that one. So what when you got there, you know that you're working towards this goal. You're already a professional. I listened to Teddy Atlas talk once. I think you mentioned Teddy Atlas a minute ago. Or he might have been one of the names you mentioned. Did you go to any of the? I heard him talk one time about these mixers that he would put on. Was that in that era, or did you go to any of that stuff?
Well, I did mention Teddy, but that's okay. I know Teddy is a friend of mine. Good trainer, good, but no.
You were talking Freddie Roach. I'm sorry.
Freddie Roach, yeah. But Teddy is like I said, hell of a trainer too. But I didn't know Teddy till later on. And at that time, he was still, he was a young kid. He was working with fighters up in Custis' gym. But he was a fighter himself, amateur fighter. He didn't have any pro fights as far as but he had some amateur fights. And then he started working on training guys at Custamano's gym. But there's like I said, there's a lot of guys. But I went there because then I started training. Well, first of all, when I went there, my trainer, Murphy Griffith, who had saw me in the National Golden Gloves. I was in National Golden Gloves in 1979 in Indianapolis, and I got beat in the quarterfinals against the defending national champion, a guy named Melvin Paul from out of Louisiana. But I beat him, man. And I'm telling you, fighters know when you lose. Fighters know when they lose. We know. I beat him. And his own people turned back when they got the decision. They knew he lost, but he was the defending national champion. And believe me when I tell you, Ryan, there's nothing in this country. I think it's proven. I think people understand it. There's nothing in this country more political, more Ku Klux. Nothing's more Ku Klux in this country than the NCAA. The amateur sports is the most political organization there is. And so I think he was defending national champion, and they were getting ready for the Olympics, and they wanted certain guys in mind who they wanted, who had international competition experience. I hadn't up to that time. So, I was ranked number 5, I think, at the time in my weight class. He was number 1. So, anyhow, he got the decision, broke my heart. And after that, I went to dressing room. I was heartbroken. I said, I'm never going to fight another amateur fight. That's it. I'm turning pro. Happening, Murphy Griffith, my trainer, who became my trainer at that time, come in, and Pedro Tomez was the Youngstown trainer, who was the guy who he was the head trainer for our team. He said, hey, Ray, man, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Murphy Griffith. We'd like to talk to you. And Griff said to me, young man, I watch you. man, you ain't never going to win amateur title. He said, national title. He said, you ain't got the amateur style, but you're going to be a very good pro. You could be a very good pro, and I can help you get there. If you'd be interested, what's your plan? I said, man, I'm going to turn pro. I don't want to fight no more amateur fights. That's it. And so he said, well, look, I work with a manager, David Wolf, out of New York. He gave me his information, his number. He said, I'll call you in a week or so. I'll stay in touch, and then I'll have Dave call you and see if there's something you could do. Maybe I could work with you. And he said, young man, he said, someday if you want to be, he said, what's your goal? What do you want? I said, I want to be a fighter and world champion. I want to be a world champion someday. He said, young man, he said, maybe I could help get you there if you want. So I said, great. Came back home, heartbroken a little bit. Went back to play baseball, finished, played some high school baseball, played my summer baseball, but I kept in touch. And a week later, Griff called me, stayed in touch, find out what I was going to do. And we stayed in touch, and he put me in touch with David Wolf, who eventually became my manager. Dave came to Youngstown. And Dave said to me, at that time, I had some local people who wanted to hire me, handle me. And they sat with me and my father, and they said, we'll pay you. At that time, no, I never heard of being paid to train. Pay you $250 a week just to train. That'd be your job. We'll rent you an apartment. We'll buy you a car. My father said, we'll take it. We'll take it. So, no. Relax that way. I said, what can you do for my career, though? And they said, I said, Ray, to be honest with you, we're new to this. We're learning about the game as we speak. We're going to get a fighting agent out of Florida. We're talking to Angelo Dundee about training you. We have a guy who's going to talk to Angelo Dundee about training you. He said, so we're new to the business, but we're going to try to learn along the way. And I said, okay. Dave Wolf met me. He said, look, you come to New York, you sleep on Griff's couch. He said, I'll float you some money, but you got to pay it out of your first purse. He said, bottom line is this, I'm not going to promise you anything, and I don't want you to promise me anything. He said, but you do your job, I'll do mine, I'll get you the world title. Great, that's all I want to hear. And that's it. These other guys, David, he was new. He worked with some fighters. He knew the game. And that's all you want to hear. And at that time, he had nobody. He had just signed. He said, I'm just signing a new fighter. He said, I can't talk about it because he's a pretty big name. You'll hear about it soon. And I want to be an Ed Too Tall Jones. I don't know if you remember, you're too young. Too Tall left the Cowboys to become a professional fighter. And Too Tall was my stablemate. So, Too Tall myself, right? And that that was a sideshow. We'd go on the road and we'd do road work together. We'd live together on the road. And but he was a wonderful guy, and we'd be good friends to this day, But so that was it. That's how I started my career. All you want to hear, you do your job, do mine, I'll get you the world title. That's all. The local guys couldn't tell me that.
Right.
And I always tell a story too. And here's what I met Lou Duva of Main Event. Lou Duva when I was 16 years old. Lou would come every February. He'd come around Youngstown area. And I met him 2 or 3 years in a row. Later on, Main Events, right? I tell the story. And when I talk and I do motivational talks, I tell the story too. And then Angelo Dundee, they talked to them, and Angelo passed on me. And Angelo said, they asked him about training me. Angelo said, look, I knew his father. The father was a hell of a fighter. I don't know nothing about the kid. I don't know anything about this kid. He said, look, I have another Ray, and he's doing pretty good for himself. So later on, at Angelo's 80th birthday party at the National Time American Sports Hall of Fame in Chicago, I was telling that story. Mm-hmm. And everyone's laughing. And I looked at Ray Leonard. Ray Leonard was there. I said, yeah, Ray, you did pretty good for yourself. That's the other Ray he had. And but I tell us, Lou Duva says to me, he says, how smart am I? He's Italian, I'm Italian. I met, he said he acknowledged when he met me when I was a kid. He said, I'm Italian, he's Italian. What do? I signed the 2 Jewish kids in the area. He signed the Rosenberger brothers from Niles. 2 good fighters, Rusty and Razor. Good fighters, handsome guys, real good fighters. but he passed on me. And that's it. So when I tell that story, when I travel to colleges and stuff, I tell this all the time because my son got an offer to play at Colorado State, but later on. But at first, he wasn't getting no offers. He said, "Pop, I'm not getting no offers. I don't know. I don't want to play in no D2 school. I don't play in no D3 school." I said, "Hey, you go where they want you. You play where they want you. Because believe me, if you got the goods, they will find you. Don't matter if you're D2, D3, D1, 2A, whatever it is. If you got the goods, they'll find you." And I told my own story. And I used that talk all the time. I said, "Ray," and I told the story about Lou Duva and Angelo Dundee passing on me. The bottom line, I wasn't there for anybody's first choice. I was anybody's first choice. But guess what? I found the guy who was the right guy for me. And got me to a world title.
It just shows you like how the world can come together for one person that puts in the effort and makes the right smart decisions.
Yeah.
What is the why did he know? Why did the one guy you were mentioning know that you would be such a better professional than you were amateur?
Because I had a professional style as an amateur. I had professional, had a professional style as an amateur. It was aggressive, threw a lot of body shots. Bang. See, at that time they started pushing box. Remember, they had some horse crap.
Like point boxing or,
Yeah, they wanted that box, straight up boxer, the speed and box. They wanted stress technique over power. Okay. Well, that works for guys that have tall, that are boxers, not naturally aggressive guys. But if you're guys like me who were aggressive, and hopefully look, it was the dumbest thing what they did. Amateur sports was the dumbest back then. Because back then, if you got a jab and a knockdown were counted as the same, 1 point. So if I knocked the guy down, he got up and jabbed me twice. He was ahead by 1 point. Do you understand? Because they want to stress boxing. Stupidest rule I ever heard. And that's why to this day, our amateur program is crap. Our amateur program is crap. They stressed that in the late 70s after a 76 Olympics team. But since then, and they keep trying to stress that. But now they've changed it because we're getting our asses kicked in amateur competition. We've absolutely done nothing the last couple Olympics. Our amateur program is crap. They better change it. Now they're going to a 10-point must system like the pros, because why a lot of our amateurs, when they turn pro, can't make the transition. So anyhow, but so that's why I didn't have the pro style. Yeah, I had the pro style. I didn't have the amateur style. And why Murphy Griffith saw in me a pro fighter at the pro style, and he told me, that's why he said to me, "You're not going to win a national amateur tournament, but you could be a very good pro." So he saw something, and I love that man forever, man. It was, I love him forever because he helped. He took the fighter. I was a rough fighter, and he molded me. He credits Ed Sullivan, my amateur trainer, for giving me the fundamentals, the groundwork. But Griff took that, and made me a professional, molded me into a professional fighter. And look, I didn't have a jab as an amateur, but later on I developed a jab, and I jabbed a lot of my opponents. I was an aggressive kid, but you got to work behind the jab. You can't just walk in without a jab. You could eat guys up, sharpshoot you. That's why I look at these amateurs. I look at fighters now that are aggressive, but they don't have a jab. How can you get on the inside if you don't have a jab? You got to be able to touch the guy, know where he's at, break, and then once you touch him, then you can throw the right hand,
No, that's I'm learning a lot right now. I'm thinking of the heavyweight that just fought a few years ago that doesn't have a jab, that was all knockout power. I can't think of his name right now.
Not Mike Tyson.
No, not Tyson. Just recently he fought the guy who's got the belt right now.
Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, Deontay Wilder. He has no jab.
No, you're right. Deontay's a friend of mine. He's 6'7". Those are the guys who should have the jab.
He's as long as you could be. Yeah.
I tried to talk to him, but not tell him what to do, because we're not champions. We're going to tell you, listen, everything was a knockout punch for him. Everything was a knockout punch. But I would say he was like the heavyweight Tommy Hearns, except that Tommy Hearns had a jab. Tommy Hearns would set you up with the jab, then drop the right hand, knock guys out. You got to set him up with a jab. The great Alexis Arguello, there would be times he'd go a round or two without throwing the right hand. He just jab, hook. He'd set the guys up. They'd fall asleep, and then when he threw it right hand, they weren't waiting for it because he didn't throw it for 2 rounds. He was just beating them with the one hand. He dropped the right hand, and heard him knock him out, knock him down. Deontay Wilder could have been that guy.
Right.
Yeah, up, down. Just keep using the jab, and then boom, when you throw it right hand, oh! But everything with Deontay, he was knocking everybody out. So he didn't learn how to fight. He didn't learn how to box. He just if there was a home run pitch.
Yeah. Perfect segue into Alexis Arguello. You're 20 years old and you get that title shot. What was that like leading up to that? And then what was the disappointment like when you came up just short? Because I went back and watched that fight this week, and it looked like to me you were in complete control through about 8 rounds probably. And then I think he got you with a pretty good hook, if I remember right. And that kind of changed the fight a little bit.
Well, you're right. I was leading going in. After 12th, I was still ahead. Going into 12th, I was ahead. After 12th, which is round, and dropped me in first. I was still. It was even after that. After I was going ahead on 2 or 3 cards, going in after 12th. After 11th, after 12th, it was even up. Alexis is one of the fighters. First, one of the greatest fighters of all time. Top 50 fighters of all time. Top Latino fighters of all time. And he was just one of the. He was great. And Alexis is one of them guys. I always say he set traps early in the fight. Then he go back later in the fight, see if them traps caught. I was up in his chest, pushing him back. All like I said, first 8 rounds, pushing him back, banging him, body shots. I made him miss 100 right hands. I made him miss that right hand all night. But what Alexis was starting up to, he started creating space. And I allowed it, obviously. And I look back, he started creating space. And then I always say, it don't take many. It only takes 1 punch. And he finally, at the end of the 12th round, he caught me with that right hand. He kept enough space. He caught me at the end of the chin, dropped me on one knee. I got up. I was hurt. But then the bell rang right at that time. Went back to the corner. And then my trainer just told me to move. Just move. And after the third guy, move. He was trying to catch me. I was balking. But after going into the 14th, after you watch it, I jumped right on him. And I'm banging him and I'm backing him up. But he kept his composure. He hit me with a good shot underneath the heart. Stopped me from it. Then he got me with a left hook, hurt me, and then he hit me with another hook and dropped me. And when I got up out, the referee, Tony Perez, stopped. I stumbled into the ropes. He did the right thing. And but that's why it's called fit. That's why the true championship distance is 15 rounds, not 12. Any 10-round fighter go 12. Any 10-round fighter. Very few go 15. So the true championship distance is 15 rounds. And Alexis was an experienced fighter. And the one thing you can't gain in the ring is experience until you do it. And after that, I knew it was bullshit. I was heartbroken, disappointed. I cried in my locker room, went back, cried, because I never thought I'd get another opportunity. I let my father down. I let myself down and let my city down, and so I was heartbroken.
But you only had to wait 6 months.
Well, it's a funny thing about how life is, But one thing I'm proud of, though, look at it. Look, Ryan, a lot of these guys, they get stopped. They're knocked down. If guys lose a fight, they don't fight for 6, 8, 9, 10 months, maybe a year. I was October 3rd. I was back in the ring. I fought the day after Christmas, December 26th. That was less than 8 weeks later.
You fought twice in between the title fights, right? Is that right?
I fought December 26th. Atlantic City won by second round knockout. And then I came back and I defended my title, my North American title. I won the North American title. And I defended that on January 23rd of 1982, when I beat Julio Valdez from Dominican Republic. And I stopped him in the 10th round. So, I was active. Boom, October, 8 weeks later, boom, January, and then I fought for the title in May. That's what I'm talking about. You get back on the horse. You got to get back to it. You let your body heal. You let your mind heal. And you get back to it. You don't need 8, 10 months. You need to get back to it.
I think I heard you talk somewhere about Bob Arum. Was Bob Arum the guy that was making the fights back then too? Yeah. I mean, he's top ranked. I think was established in 66.
Bob Arum, Don King. main events was active, but Bobby and Don King were the two kings. Were the two big promoters.
Seems like there was a lot of respect between you and Bob Arum.
I do. I love Bob Arum. Gave me my opportunity. He gave me the opportunity, and he kept me active. And he set the right fights for me and paid me well. So I have a great respect and love for Bob Arum for what he did for my career, and we're still very good friends to this day.
How could you not love boxing and not love Top Rank? So it's like one of those things.
Yeah.
So you got in there and you got your rematch or you did not a rematch, but you got another opportunity at the title with Arturo Frias. And I went back and watched all these fights, and you dropped him with a double hook. I think it might have been a triple hook. You were so fast. But what did that feel like when he hit the ground, or when they stopped the fight?
If you remember early in the round, he hurt me with a left hook. He caught me with a left hook on the chin, knocked me back into the ropes. I spun him, and then it was just a war right from the jump. And I think a lot of people look at the Hagler Hearns as the best first round ever. If that happened, then we'd be considered best first round ever.
No, that was the most action-packed first round of a fight, I think.
In rounds in one round. But when you're hurt, you do one of two things. You either cover up or fire back. My trainer taught me that, and I chose to fire back. And I just happened to catch him, break him up a little bit. And, I had people say, what were you thinking when you got hurt? I was just trying to survive the round. That's it. Try to survive the round. But if you don't fire back on the guy, he's going to be all over you. So you got to back him up. But then I was backing him up, and then I wound up catching him, hurting him. And when he went down, oh, man, it was like a shark smelling blood. I saw it. He went down. That was it. Then I ran across the ring, pushed up against the ropes, and just kept throwing punches and bunches until the referee, Richard Green, stopped it, jumped in. And that feeling at that moment is the most euphoric feeling I've ever had, ever will have. The only thing that compared to it, but differently, but the same high, the same euphoric feeling, was seeing each one of my children born. That's really the only thing that compared to that. And I'll never have that feeling back for either one ever again. So that's why I appreciate achieving that so much. I never took it for granted, and that feeling, it's something you always feel. It's memory recall. I can still feel it when I think about it, But I hope to achieve good things in business down the road, great things in business down the road. But I don't think I've ever had that same feeling.
Yeah, that's got to be one of those feelings, even 99.9% of boxers never get that feeling. So, the average person isn't going to get it.
Right.
Yeah, the 99.9999% of boxers never get it. It's like, you only get that opportunity to ask somebody that, once in a life or something. So I had to ask you what that feeling was like.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but what I won't keep you here too much longer. We might have to do another one of these someday.
Oh, round two, we'll do round two. That's all right.
All right, I really appreciate your time, so I don't want to keep you too long at once. Did you feel like he in that fight you won the title? Did you feel like he maybe felt like he couldn't go the distance with you, and that's why did you feel like he sold out? Because I watched that fight, like I said, maybe today or yesterday, and it felt like he was kind of going for broke in the first round. And I know that was kind of your style, just to get in there and go back and forth, but was that his style?
Yeah, that was his style. That's why before, when he's talking about the fight beforehand, he talks about two pit bulls, coming together. And, that was Arturo's style. Art was a strong guy. He wasn't a real big puncher, but he was a strong. That's why I felt I was stronger than him. And I felt it played right into my hand. Right into my hands. I felt that I felt very confident that I'd win. Felt very confident that that was my night. All the experience I gained from fighting Alexis, I was going to use all of it, and it just paid off. It just paid off. But yeah, Arturo, that type of fighter, and he like I said, he stung me and he jumped right on me like any good fighter would do. But I was fortunate to be able to recoup and turn it around. No, he was not sell by no means. When you get a guy, you got to go for it. because people say take your time. Take your time. What, man? Life,
Right.
time. When you see the opportunity, you got to take it. You heard it now. If I'd have, but that's just doing in the heat of the moment. But if I had gone up and I was boxing cleverly or whatever, then you take your time. But he got up and he jumped right on me. That's his style, just like I jumped on him. So.
Yeah, there was one of the boxers, one of the commentators. It's so funny going back and watching some of these old fights because like the English commentators and stuff, they they have that sort of reputation for being so blunt and stuff.
Yeah.
But there was one of them that was just talking about you being like taking a punch even good for an Italian. Like I just thought that was funny.
That was Sean O'Grady.
Yeah, I was enjoying that.
Yeah, Sean made a comment for an Italian. He takes a good punch. I don't know what that meant, but I thought I'll take it. It's okay.
Yeah, I thought it was a compliment.
It is. I'll take it. Of course, it's a compliment. Why not?
What was it like when you got? I'm sure it was just full of joy. But what was it like in Youngstown when you got back? Was it just?
They picked me up at the airport, drove me in, and they drove me right down to Market Street, and they had a parade. And it was unbelievable, man. It was just unbelievable. Everybody looked like the whole city was out, and people just wonderful, man. They treated me great, and they've always supported me and backed me, and everything I've ever tried, they've always supported that. And I can't say how much I love the people of this town, how much I love this town, because of what they've done for me and my family. So yeah. I've said it before many times, and you'll hear me say it a lot. The people of Youngstown have had a large part of my success. Absolutely, no doubt. Yeah, so coming home, that they were all there, and it was again another euphoric feeling, just riding in on the waving to the people and seeing the people and having them be there.
It was definitely cool to go back this week and watch those fights and see all the Youngstown people that traveled to those fights, whether it was Atlantic City or wherever you were fighting.
Right. They followed me wherever I went. Wherever I went, they followed me, and I appreciate that very much.
Super cool to see. Not a lot of loyalty like that around the world. It's pretty cool to watch.
Well, it is, and it's a great thing. And it's like I said, it's a great to have a relationship with my city. Let me tell you, I tell people all the time. My relationship with my city is different than most. It just is. And it goes way back. And even though I was gone 30 years, I'd still come back and forth. Now I'm back on a regular basis, being in the entertainment business. I came back to create a studio. And that's the reason I came back. And I'm close to it. I'm close to achieving that, or not quite there yet, but I'm close to it. And that's the ultimate goal, to create a full digital media studio here in Youngstown for all content. Original content, for scripted content, music, so I'm in a process of pre-production on a film project to start shooting, hopefully before the end of this year or certainly beginning of next year. And negotiations with a couple of streamers for a series, for a series based on Youngstown for Youngstown. It's a multi-generational crime story. It's Youngstown for Youngstown, but that's part of the deal. That's part of our history, and you embrace it and accept it, and it's the character of the town. So it makes the character of the town.
I might have to show up one day and check out this whole studio. Just a couple more. Well, we're on to the business side of things. I'm really interested in entrepreneurship and stuff like that. So, what was it about acting and film and stuff that got you piqued your interest? Was that something you were super interested in as a youth, or? No,
I didn't know. After fight, I never wanted to be anything else but a fighter. I didn't know what I was going to be once I was done fighting. But Ryan, things happen when you're fighting. You get opportunities, they arise. I've been represented by the William Morris Agency, which is one top entertainment agencies, and I've been represented for commercial endorsements, for speaking engagements, and I've been offered all kind of opportunities to act in series and film, but I wasn't able to take advantage of it because I was in training camp all the time. So when I retired, I told my agent when I was getting ready to retire, I said to him, look, I want to give it a shot. I want to give it an acting a shot. I said, Ray, we'll help you. We'll give you every opportunity, but you got to be where the action is. You got to come out here, move to California. So I said, well, it seemed like a good idea. Why not? Wow, for sunshine. And so I did. And I didn't know how long I'd be there. And 30 years later, I was still there until I came back. So it was a 30-year education. And I mean that sincerely. I paid for a 30-year education. And I produced for MGM. I produced for Warner Brothers, a lot of independents. And I don't have a large resume, but it's a solid resume. It only to get better, but I know the game. I think I'm one of the few people who come back here would say they've sat with heads of the studio and to see what kind of content they're looking for their studio. Sitting with Wall Street investment firms, what kind of product they're looking for investment for their investors, for the people that they have, type of content they're looking for to invest in. And I've met with distributors, what kind of content they need to sell film worldwide. So I've learned from all of them, and ready to go. I could go in and talk to any studio head, talk the game, and talk to know the dialogue and know the terminology. Yeah.
It's pretty cool, that you got into something else here, like fill that. Is that like a void, the competitive void, sort of the fill? Or,
I think it's cool. Yeah, I think so. I think it's the fighter in me that never say die, because I'm not where I want to be, nearly where I want to be, nearly where I'm going to be. But yeah, when people have said, but there's some. Look, my first one I finally produced for MGM, it took me almost 10 years to get it going. And I finally got it going when they didn't even know they owned the product. I did a remake of The Body and Soul, the old John Garfield film, which is my favorite boxing movie of all time. And John Garfield is one of my favorite actors of all time. And an old producer, Mace Neufeld, who produced Hunt for Red October, Clear and Present Danger, Patriots Day. Mace Neufeld, I met with him and sat with him one time, and he said, so he didn't do a boxing? And I said, no, Mace, I'm staying away from anything, do a boxing or boxing movies or anything, He said, why? And I told him, I don't want to be known just as a fighter. I want to be known as an actor and blah, 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 blah. He said, young man, let me give you a bit of advice. Always remember, you don't want to have to convince the audience. Sometimes you got to hit them with the obvious. That's why he said, go and get that property, Body and Soul, and produce that. Do that. That's going to be your entree. And that's what I did. I found, and MGM didn't even know like I said, didn't know they had owned the rights. So I told them, because I had done all the title search. And, again, it's what I tell you, it's a 30-year education. I paid for the education because all these things I'm talking about, I paid for.
Right.
Nothing comes for free. You couldn't turn on the internet to find that stuff out. You got to go information. You got to call companies, and there's companies who did that, title search companies, and you got to pay for that stuff.
People take it for granted today, like you're saying. We have all this information, and connections are a lot easier to make today.
Yeah. It's a bit different, but I learned it. Like I said, I think I could talk with anybody in this area. I think I could talk the game. I don't think, what I'm trying to do in my company right now, I got a couple partners. I brought a guy who came from HBO and Fox. He's my CFO. And I have a producing partner, David Wechter, who comes from the music side. Oh, that's my son. I'll tell you. I can't. Okay. And then it comes to the music side. He manages a few music acts, the Wu-Tang Clan, Cab Ride for Cutie. I think it was the alternative group. So he's one of my partners. And what I'm hoping to do with my company, what I'm going to do, I should say, what I'm looking to do, what I'm going to do is looking to become, we're looking to become a mini studio. We want to become the American version of Lionsgate. For Lionsgate Studios, Lionsgate is a Canadian company. And they became a studio, but a mini studio. But how do you do that? Well, you got to be able to create your own content, which we do. We have that. You got to produce your own content. We can and will. We have a financing mechanism in place. You want to be able to finance your own projects, which is the key, and which is the most difficult. And we have a financing mechanism in place to do that. And we have worldwide distribution in place. 99.9 will not have distribution in place. We do. So we're looking, that's what I said, we're looking to, this should become a mini studio, the American version of Lionsgate. And I think we not only can we will do that. And there's nobody in the eastern part of the United States doing this that I know of. And there may only be one or two other companies doing it in the Western hemisphere. But yeah, we're looking to become that company on not only in Youngstown, but in Ohio and on the East Coast, is being that studio that people want to come here, have us produce their product, shoot it here in Ohio and Youngstown specifically. And yeah, that's what we're looking to do.
We already talked about all the, hardworking people from Youngstown, so I'm sure, you can get a lot of good people around here too.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of talent. We have a lot of talented people. And, it's funny when you talk to people, a lot of successful businessmen, but most of this come from brick and mortar. And I get that. When you talk about movie content and television and scripted series, to them it's pie in the sky. They can't comprehend it. Not that they're stupid, not that they're not smart. It's just out of their wheelhouse. Right. They just can't comprehend because they don't understand it. And I get it. I said, look, if I didn't understand it, I wouldn't do it either. Get behind it. But the entertainment, people would say, but isn't that a tough business? That's a bad investment. No, on the contrary. On the contrary, and I have all the statistical proof to show, entertainment is one of the best forms of investment. Why? It's the least amount of startup money for the biggest return in the shortest amount of time. We give you better return, better than real estate. And we give it to you in 1 year, within 12 months. Real estate ain't giving you very much now. We're always going to be better than real estate. And we give it to you in 12 months. Real estate can't guarantee you that. Right. More or less any other investment can't guarantee you that. We can, because we have worldwide distribution in place.
I'm rooting for you. I can't wait to see it all come together.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, 2 more questions here.
All right.
And then I'm holding you to part 2 because I'll probably see you around town again, hopefully soon. What do you like? What is Boom Boom Mancini, Mr. Mancini? What does he like to do for? What do you like to do for fun?
I like to think I'm a fun guy. My wife might disagree because I like for me to travel. I don't consider the work I do a job. I travel the country, the world, being in some beautiful places. And then when you're there, doing commentary or doing a speaking engagement. But that's not work. I'm not digging ditches. I'm, not working in a sweat factory. So I get to travel around the world, around the country, and make appearances and speak engagements. And so I enjoy that. So for fun, but see, it may seem boring, but I like to go to the theater. I like to go to the theater, live theater, for plays, concerts. I like to go to movie theaters. I like to go see movies in a theater. That's what they're there for, right? I like to go dance with my wife, not talking about nightclubs like, back in the day, but we do like, swing dance, places that do swing dance. But see, I like, for me, I like just I like going to restaurants. I'm a foodie.
Oh, you're jumping my next question. Where's the best food? I don't mean to interrupt you, but where is the best food? Where's the best Italian food in Youngstown?
Well, we got several good restaurants, but for me, these are the four
Your
best.
top three, your top four.
Top four. One, Michael Alberini's. Now, Michael's not really an Italian. It's an Italian restaurant, but it does special that it's American, cuisine. Right. So you got great Italian dishes, but across the board, American cuisine too. Steaks, chops, seafood. But Michael Alberini's, for the ambiance, you can't beat it. The food is terrific, but it's the wine list, the best, and probably the best in the city. So Michael Alberini's in Boardman over here, 224. Acquapazzo, one of the best Italian restaurants. Again, that's an Italian restaurant, and Acquapazzo is like it's a little hidden gem on McClurg Road in Boardman, but it's off the beaten path a little bit, which makes it they have a wonderful outdoor patio that people, you have to get a 2-month waiting list. Thank God I know people I could.
I've never been there. I didn't realize it was so exclusive.
Yeah, Acquapazzo is, and the food is tremendous. The third one is, these two are as authentic as you can get, because the Prima Cucina Italiana in downtown Youngstown. Josh Santangelo, the chef and part owner, studied it in Italy. So he worked in Italy and studied in Italy and also worked in New York. So he cooks authentic. It's as authentic as you get. Now 5 restaurants. Mine's a big 5. I should 4, but big 5. The Bistro, 1907 downtown, by Mark Canzanetta, who used to be the original chef at Acquapazzo. Okay. One of his own. Now this American Bistro. It's spectacular. Spectacular. Mark's probably he was one of the top 3 chefs, along with Josh and our next guy I'm going to talk about. But Mark, it's breakfast there. Weekend, go there for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. The brunch you can't beat. But the food, again, American cuisine across the board, but different. It's different. Mark's a real one of the top chefs, man, and he makes up the different dishes. Mm-hmm. The last one, the other top 5, Station Square, in Liberty, north side of Youngstown, Liberty. Okay. Ottavio from Italy, so authentic as you get. So Ottavio, Station Square, Josh, Prima Cucina, and even Acquapazzo. Those are the top 3 for me for Italian restaurants. Yeah. But the Bistro and Michael Alberini's across the board, Italian food, but American cuisine too. So it's the best. But Station Square, Ottavio, the food is off the hook. And again, and all those places got great wine lists, which is important. I'm a big wine guy. I have a wine company, and nothing complements a meal with wine. And I tell people all the time, you can go to places, especially in Youngstown, you can go to some half-ass food places. The food could be mediocre, but you got to have a top wine list. But if you have if you serve terrific food with a mediocre wine list, that don't work. It don't work. So people are sophisticated around here. We know our wines.
Oh, good wine. There's nothing like good Italian food.
Nothing better than a good wine, but a good deal.
All right, I got one more. I lied. I got one more question. All right. When you went to Italy, where did you fight? Where was that fight, and what was that like? Because I heard that you had they loved you over there. I'm just curious. Like,
it was wonderful. I fought in Valle d'Aosta, which is as far northwest corner as you can get. It's where France and Switzerland meet. It's a
mountains. Is that the mountains? The mountain area?
Not the mountains. Oh yes, up in the mountains. Valle d'Aosta is far northwest you get. It's right again. It meets where Switzerland, Switzerlandia, Francia meet, Italia, and lovely people, man. But they supported me. My family came from Sicily. My family and many people from Bulgaria, Sicily, where my family's from, Bulgaria, they took a 24-hour train ride because they had a crossover, and then from Calabria took the train all the way up far south to the far north as you get. So they came to support me, and I'll always be appreciative of that.
You and Sicilian family members travel to the fight?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty.
It was special.
That's pretty cool.
But I'm gonna tell you, I wanted to fight in Italy. I wanted to fight in either Italy or back home. I wanted to be comfortable, someplace I was comfortable. But I wanted to always go overseas to Italy and train. And Rodolfo Sabatini, the time promoter, along with Bob Arum, they worked a lot together. They made it happen for me, which I always appreciate. But I got to tell you, it was not a wonderful experience to fight. We talk about American press and how bad the American press is. There's nothing worse than the European press. European, they just out and out lie. They make up shit. They just make up stuff. And
they were ruthless.
Oh, they're ruthless, exactly. Yeah. And that was the only fight I could say I didn't care if I won or lost. It was I just wanted to go in there and get it over with. I just wanted to get it over because just the time press were brutal. But we got in there, we got the win. I didn't look real good. I didn't look, sharp. But we got the win over George Feeney, the European champion. But that's one thing I'm proud of is, Ryan, to say you're a world champion and only fight in America, that's not being a true world champion. The true world champion is a guy who travels the globe and travels and fights other fighters from other countries and fights them in other places. I was scheduled to fight in South Africa. I was over there training to defend my title in May of '83, but then I broke my collarbone. And the fight, I was over to train for 4 weeks in Johannesburg when the fight had to be called off. But at least I was willing to, travel and defend my title. And I had 5 title defenses. 4 of them were against the number 1 contender, and 4 of them were against fighters from another country. Ernesto España, my first title defense from Venezuela. My second title defense against Tuku Kim out of Korea. My third title defense was against Orlando Romero from Peru. And then finally, when I lost my title to Livingstone Bramble, but he's from the Virgin Islands. And then when I fought in Italy, I fought George Feeney, who was the European champion. So I like to think I fought guys from around the world. I think what a true world champion does is fight fighters from around the globe and let those people around the globe get to see you also.
You don't see that as much today, do you? No. It seems like a lot of guys just want cupcakes, and that's really all they don't want to
leave the country. They don't want to leave the country. A lot of them don't want to leave Nevada.
Yeah, it seems like one of the things holding boxing back right now is like UFC and stuff. And I'm really a big boxing guy. I didn't really start watching UFC till a couple years ago. Right. But the one thing I like about UFC is that they're willing to get in there and they'll fight.
The best fight the best all the time.
Right.
There's not many of them. That's why, and that's why their careers are a lot shorter. But the best fight the best all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time today, sir. It's an honor.
I appreciate it. We'll do it again. We'll do round 2. When you come up to Ohio, I'll meet you at Stone Fruit, or I'll meet you at Starbucks. Give me a call. You got my number. I believe I said to you.
Yeah, I got your number. I'll be getting a hold of you. Hey, you invite me twice. Dinner on me for being so gracious with your time, and I just really appreciate it. I would definitely probably run into you soon because I like to hang out at that Starbucks.
Yeah, we got to get you away from that little bunker you're hiding in, wherever you're at.
Yes.
It's a covert operation. I get it. I don't want to know. I don't want to find nobody coming after me to find out where you're at.
No, it's nothing like that. Hang on 1 second. I'll say a proper goodbye. Thanks again.
Thank you.